If you've watched any of my other videos, you're probably thinking two things at this point. One, I'm actually wearing a t-shirt that fits? What? And two, my hair hasn't grown in 6 weeks? The answer is I filmed a bunch of these videos in bulk and just kept changing my t-shirt and then putting it back away. Anyway, this is the last part in the planned series of how to write LGBT characters and why you should anyway. The playlist will be everywhere, as always. This video is on how to write non-binary characters, and it was surprisingly difficult to make. I think partially because it's pretty close to home as a non-binary person, and partially because it is shockingly difficult to find pieces of media with non-binary characters in. Tiny self-promo, I have a bunch of short stories with non-binary protagonists over on nopoodles.wordpress.com, and I am currently writing a manuscript with a non-binary main character, which is not as simple as writing short stories. And I also have another manuscript that is finished that I am trying to query that has a non-binary side character in it. Writing a non-binary character and the how-to of writing a non-binary character is unfortunately not quite as simple as the how to write a trans character or how to write a bisexual character videos. Step number 1, pick your pronouns. Most non-binary people use non-binary pronouns. They, them and their is a really safe bet because you already know how to use them if you write in English. But if you wanted something different or are worried about accidental plurals or how to balance a singular they to a plural they and what happens when the they in question ends up in a group of people, which I will admit as a writer is something that you do have to kind of contend with. You can use other neo-pronouns, which you can find plentiful charts about them online. My personal favourite neo-pronouns are she, sem and sia, which is how I pronounce them. She went to the shops, just go and ask sem. It's sia backpack. Again, you can see these in my short stories with non-binary characters in them. Also, the reason that I stick to basically 3 sets of pronouns, which is they, them and their, she, sem and sia, and a, em and air, which is just they, them and their with the th's knocked off, is that I have dyslexia and grammar is a huge hurdle for me, so I tend to just go for the same ones over and over again. Step number 2, do not binarize them. No, binarize is not a real word, but stick with me. What I mean is don't compare their hair, or their clothes, or their body type to a binary gender. We don't want to know the gender they were assigned at birth. Instead, describe them in neutral ways. This can be really fun because you start to realise how much of your description is actually gendered, and you can have fun trying to figure out how to work around that and how to change it. I mean, obviously, if you're going shopping as a non-binary person, you do have to look in gendered sections, but as you can see over the course of even just this series, stuff gendered clothing. I buy things with cool stuff on the front. Like, that's my criteria for a t-shirt, is does it fit me, as in can I fit into it, and does it have something cool on the front? This one is from the Natural History Museum. I saw it and I was like, gotta have that. Step 3 is non-binary does not equal masculine light in appearance. They don't have to wear men's clothes and have short hair and generally look like a diluted masculine character. Make them unique. Let them wear dresses on a day and then baggy jeans on other days. If they're aligned with different genders at different moments, like gender fluid people are, have them adjust their appearance to fit more with the expectations for that gender. I knew someone once who carried a beanie with them wherever they went, so that they could at any point go from a masculine hair appearance to a feminine hair appearance and back again. I know you're probably looking at me, a non-binary person with short hair, wearing a t-shirt, and thinking, Will, you've just said not to write somebody like you. But you are non-binary. But what I actually mean is that non-binary is diverse and beautiful, and you don't have to make them look like me. But I mean, if you want to, I guess. I wear baggy hoodies and jeans and geeky t-shirts and very occasionally shorts because it's hot. And that's just what I like to wear. Even before I realised I was non-binary, that was what I used to wear. I pick every aspect of my appearance solely based on what it looks like to me and what it looks like on me. And none of it is affected by gendered expectations. Your non-binary character is allowed to have personal preferences. If they want to wear dresses all the time because they like the freedom of movement and the swooshiness of them, do it! Step 4. Pick a specific gender identity. Non-binary is both an identity and an umbrella. Your character can be gender fluid, agender, non-binary, gender flux, gender queer. There are so many more options, but I'm going to stop listing. While a lot of non-binary people identify with more than one label, because gender is confusing and labels are hard, you need to pick a specific one or maximum 2. It will be much easier to do your research if you are only researching 1 or 2 labels rather than all non-binary people. Step number 5. Do your research. Read non-binary characters written by non-binary people. As much research as cis or binary trans writers have potentially put into their piece about a non-binary person, there is nothing quite like reading stories about non-binary characters that have been written by non-binary people. Read real-life stories and events of non-binary people's lives. Get non-binary beta readers and sensitivity readers. Again, my site, nopoodles.wordpress.com, has a fair few non-binary characters as written by me, non-binary person. And I've made videos before on my life as a non-binary person. I am always happy to talk about my gender, as long as you attempt respectfulness. As long as you attempt to be respectful. If you want to know what my connection with my gender identity is, or how I figured it out, or anything like that, I am always happy to answer those questions, as long as I have the time, and I will try and get back to you as quickly as I can. Step 6. Don't be afraid of making non-binary jokes. Non-binary people make jokes about gender. I do it all the time. I make jokes about not being able to pick a gender, about how I break computers because I work in binary code, about people using men over here, women over here, and me running desperately back and forth, or standing in the middle like, a deer caught in the headlights. What do I do? Picking a gender! Ugh. Step 7. Go watch my How to Write Trans Characters video. A lot of the things that I said there are applicable here, but a quick lowdown for you in case you're busy or don't want to watch that. Choosing clothes that hide their body is a staple for all trans people, be they non-binary, binary, or... what or? For NBs, spelled E-N-B-Y, or E-N-B-I-E-S, swapping an outfit style in the middle of a day is another one of those hallmarks. I once swapped from a t-shirt and open flannel shirt into just a flannel shirt because my gender went squiggly and I felt more comfortable that way. A lot of non-binary people are reluctant to get changed or undressed in front of other people. A lot of non-binary people are nervous about bathrooms, public changing rooms, swimming, or the beach because those spaces tend to be heavily gendered. Difficulty finding clothes that they like in the right sizes or the right shapes. Some non-binary people go for hormones and surgery. Some don't. Some pick and choose. A lot of non-binary people don't want to volunteer information about their past, especially if it's gendered information. I don't want to tell the grand world of YouTube whether I went to Cubs or Brownies or both as a child because it implies an assigned gender at birth and it allows people to delegitimize my non-binary nature. I mean, I'm not hiding anything. You could probably figure it out quite easily just here on my YouTube channel, but I'm not going to volunteer that information. Something to note is that one of the biggest struggles I, as a non-binary person, have had when writing non-binary characters is balancing romantic relationships. If a partner has dated men before, does that binarize your NB? Do all the people that date NBs have to be demonstrably bi, pan or polysexual, or completely inexperienced? This is a question that as yet I don't have an answer for, but it is something you want to consider. If you have a character who is going to romance a non-binary character, you want to be really careful to make sure that it doesn't come across like that means something for your non-binary character's gender. I don't really have a tip on how to do that, just try and be cautious and make sure you get non-binary people to read through it and make sure that you're right. Or you're doing it well. I suppose right is the wrong word. Make sure that you're doing it well. So that's it. That is the end of my series on how to write LGBT characters and why you should anyway. If you haven't watched the other videos, you can check them out. They're all in a playlist. I will link it somewhere. That is not to say that I will never add to this playlist. If I figure out more tips and tricks on case studies and the like, on writing other LGBT identities, I will definitely consider making that into a video and sticking it here on the playlist. So, I mean, if you have any that you'd like, feel free to leave a comment and I will get my research hat on. I don't actually have a research hat. Subscribe for more like this, because I post things. If you'd like to stay up to date with my life, my work and my bunnies, you can follow me on social media. I am on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook as No Poodles. Again, you can contact me there if you have any questions about gender identity. If you'd like to support what I do, there's a link to my Ko-fi account in the description. Mr. Miss, it's like, no. Step 3. Oh, that was weird. But what I actually mean is that as much research as cis or binary trans actors? No. As much research as cis writers, cis or binary, I would repeat that but I've forgotten what I said.